3 minutes. That's how long it took the Bismarck to sink HMS Hood, the pride of the Royal Navy. 1,415 men gone. 3 survivors pulled from the freezing Atlantic. What happened next became the largest naval hunt in history, and the truth about how it ended stayed buried in British Admiralty files for 70 years. May 24, 1941, 0600 hours, Denmark Strait, between Iceland and Greenland. The German battleship Bismarck, 50,000 tons, 8 15-inch guns, faces HMS Hood and HMS Prince of Wales. The engagement lasts 6 minutes. At 0600 hours, Hood explodes. The blast tears the ship in half. 1,418 souls aboard. 3 survive. Britain's most powerful warship destroyed in minutes. Prime Minister Churchill issues a 3-word order: sink the Bismarck. What follows is 1,750 miles of pursuit across the North Atlantic. 7 British warships, multiple air carrier strikes, torpedo attacks, running gun battles, and one final engagement that official records still don't fully explain. This declassified account draws from British Admiralty documents released between 2011 and 2017, German naval archives accessed after reunification, and survivor testimony recorded decades after the war. Understanding this engagement reveals the operational reality of surface warfare in 1941 and the decisions that maritime academies still debate today. The hunt consumed Britain's naval resources for 72 hours. The ending, classified for 7 decades. To understand why Bismarck had to die, we need to go back to Hamburg, 1936. Blohm and Voss Shipyard, Hamburg, February 14, 1939. Adolf Hitler stands on the launching platform as Bismarck slides into the Elbe River. The battleship displaces 41,700 tons standard, 50,300 fully loaded. Length, 823 feet 6 inches. Beam, 118 feet. The specifications tell only part of the story. 8 15-inch guns in 4 twin turrets. Each shell weighs 1,764 pounds. Maximum range, over 20 miles. Secondary armament, 12 5.9-inch guns. Anti-aircraft batteries, 40 guns ranging from 4.1-inch to 20 millimeter. Armor belt, over 12 inches at the waterline. Turret faces, 14 inches. The ship carries 8,291 tons of armor, 40% of total displacement. Power plant, 3 sets of geared turbines generating 148,000 shaft horsepower. Top speed, 30 knots in trials. Range, nearly 9,000 nautical miles at 19 knots. Complement, 103 officers, 1,962 enlisted men. Germany invested 5 years and 196 million Reichsmarks into Bismarck. The ship represents Hitler's challenge to British naval supremacy, a challenge Britain cannot ignore. Captain Ernst Lindemann takes command in August 1940. Age 45, career naval officer. Technical-minded, methodical, he drills the crew relentlessly on damage control. Bismarck completes sea trials in the Baltic through winter 1940-41. Admiral Gunfo Lutyens receives command of the operation. Operation Rheinübung, Rhine exercise. The mission? Break into the Atlantic, target Allied convoys, disrupt Britain's lifeline to North America. Lutyens is cautious. He commanded pocket battleship operations in 1940, successfully evading Royal Navy pursuit. He respects British capabilities. He knows the risk. The German Navy, the Kriegsmarine, has limited surface assets. Bismarck and heavy cruiser Prinz Eugen comprise the strike force. No carrier support. No destroyer screen once they reach open ocean. They'll operate alone, 1,200 miles from any German port. Lutyens argues for delay. He wants Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, both under refit, to sail with them. Grand Admiral Raeder overrules him. The operation proceeds. May 18, 1941, 1922 hours. Heavy cruisers HMS Suffolk and HMS Norfolk patrol the Denmark Strait, the gap between Iceland and Greenland. Width at narrowest point is 180 nautical miles. Ice pack reduces navigable width to 80 miles. It's the most likely route for Bismarck to reach the Atlantic. Suffolk's Type 284 radar detects surface contacts at 24,000 yards, 13.6 nautical miles. Captain Robert Ellis orders radio silence broken. Message transmitted. 1 battleship, 1 cruiser, bearing 020 degrees, distance 7 miles, course 240 degrees. The message reaches Admiral John Tovey, Commander-in-Chief of the Home Fleet, aboard HMS King George V at Scapa Flow, distance to Bismarck, 600 nautical miles. Tovey dispatches HMS Hood and HMS Prince of Wales, already steaming to intercept. Admiral Lancelot Holland commands from Hood. Hood, launched 1918, modernized through the 1930s. Displacement, 46,680 tons, 8 15-inch guns. Reputation, invincible. Reality, deck armor inadequate by 1941 standards. Maximum thickness, 3 inches over magazines. The Admiralty knows this. Holland knows this. The ship was scheduled for refit, strengthening deck armor against plunging fire. War intervened. Prince of Wales, commissioned March 1941, 8 weeks earlier, still has civilian contractors aboard fixing teething problems. 4 of her 10 14-inch guns have mechanical issues. Crew barely trained on her systems. Holland has orders: intercept Bismarck before dawn, engage, sink or cripple. May 24th, 05:35 hours. Hood and Prince of Wales sight Bismarck and Prince Eugen at 35,000 yards, 17 nautical miles. Visibility, good. Sea state, calm. Wind, light. Holland orders course change. Approach bow on to minimize exposure. The geometry creates a problem. Approaching head-on, only forward turrets can engage. 4 on Hood, 6 on Prince of Wales. Meanwhile, Bismarck can fire full broadsides, 8 guns. Prince Eugen adds 8 8-inch guns. Holland's reasoning: close distance rapidly, reduce time under plunging fire, get to medium range where Hood's side armor, 12 inches, provides protection. The plan requires closing from 17 miles to 8 or 10 miles, approximately 15 minutes under enemy fire. British gunnery opens range, 25,000 yards at 05:52 hours. Bismarck holds fire. Range closes to 24,000 yards. Prince Eugen opens fire at 05:55 hours. Bismarck follows 30 seconds later. Hood's forward magazines contain 112 tons of cordite propellant and 15-inch shells. The British approach limits their own firepower, but it presents the smallest target profile. Holland gambles on closing distance before Bismarck lands critical hits. Documents don't record Holland's calculations at 05:52 hours. Did he know Prince of Wales's guns were malfunctioning? Did he trust Hood's aging armor against modern 15-inch shells? Military historians debate whether this was aggressive tactics or desperate necessity. The range closes: 23,000 yards, 22,000, 21,000. Then Bismarck's 5th salvo lands, 0600 hours. Range 16,500 yards, 9.4 nautical miles. Bismarck's shells travel at 2,690 feet per second. Flight time 20 seconds. The shells weigh 1,764 pounds each. Hood's deck armor 3 inches maximum over magazines. At 0600 hours and 5 seconds, witnesses aboard Prince of Wales observe a massive orange fireball. It erupts from Hood's aft section, between the mainmast and aft turrets. The explosion lifts Hood's stern. The bow rises simultaneously. The ship breaks in half. Secondary explosions follow as internal magazines detonate. The forward section continues steaming briefly, propellers still turning before capsizing. From explosion to sinking, 3 minutes. 3 men survived. 1,415 personnel were lost. Admiral Holland was lost aboard. Vice Admiral William Wake Walker, observing from HMS Norfolk, assumes tactical command. Prince of Wales bridge crew watches Hood vanish. No radio transmission, no distress signal, just there, then gone. Debris field and oil slick remain. 3 men in the water. Prince of Wales continues the engagement alone. Captain John Leach orders evasive maneuvers while maintaining fire. Now both German ships concentrate on Prince of Wales. 0602 hours, 15-inch shell penetrates Prince of Wales bridge. The shell doesn't explode, it's a dud, but the impact incapacitates everyone on the bridge except Captain Leach and 1 officer. Casualties lie against the bulkheads. Another shell strikes below the waterline, flooding compartments. Multiple hits register topside. 1 14-inch turret malfunctions, mechanical failure, not battle damage. Leach withdraws at 0613 hours. Prince of Wales has sustained 3 major hits and 4 minor hits. 13 personnel lost, 9 wounded, but the ship remains operational. Bismarck and Prince Oyon don't pursue. Aboard Bismarck, damage assessment begins. 3 British shells hit. 2 from Prince of Wales' 14-inch guns, 1 possibly from Hood. Hit number 1, forward section, starboard bow, near frame 21. Shell penetrates hull below waterline. 2 compartments flood. 1,000 tons of seawater enters forward spaces. Bismarck settles 2 degrees bow down. Self-sealing systems can't stop flooding. The hit damaged structural bulkheads. Hit number 2, port side, amidships. Doesn't penetrate armor belt. Minor damage. Hit number 3 penetrates hull below waterline, ruptures fuel tanks. Salt water contaminates 1,000 tons of fuel oil, now unusable. Additionally, vibration from main gun firing ruptures welds in forward sections, adding to flooding. This was a known issue from trials. Inadequate time to fix it before sailing. Admiral Yutjens receives the reports. Speed reduced to 28 knots due to bow damage. Fuel contamination limits range. No dry dock facilities between here and France, 1,800 miles south. He makes the decision. Abort the convoy raiding mission. Detach Prince Oyon to operate independently. Bismarck proceeds to Saint-Nazaire, France, for repairs. The mission fails before reaching the Atlantic convoy routes. But Yutjens doesn't transmit this decision to Berlin immediately. Radio silence maintained. Suffolk and Norfolk shadow from maximum radar range. They track Bismarck's course, southwest, toward the Atlantic. British Admiralty assumes Bismarck continues the mission. Every available warship receives orders. Converge on Bismarck's position. May 24th, 1200 hours. British forces converging on Bismarck. From Scapa Flow, HMS King George V, flagship of Admiral Tovey, 580 nautical miles northwest. HMS Repulse, battlecruiser with King George V. HMS Victorious, aircraft carrier with King George V. From Gibraltar, HMS Renown, battlecruiser, 1,300 nautical miles southeast. HMS Ark Royal, aircraft carrier with Renown. HMS Sheffield, cruiser with Renown. Already in contact, HMS Prince of Wales, 20 nautical miles behind Bismarck. HMS Norfolk, 15 nautical miles behind. HMS Suffolk, 14 nautical miles behind, maintaining radar contact. Force H, Vice Admiral James Somerville, steams north from Gibraltar at maximum speed, 24 knots. Tovey aboard King George V calculates intercept courses. At current speeds and headings, King George V reaches firing range in approximately 8 hours, around 2,000 hours May 24th. But Bismarck's position depends on Suffolk's radar contact. If radar contact breaks, if Bismarck evades into weather or uses superior speed, the intercept fails. Tovey orders HMS Victorious to launch torpedo bombers. 22:10 hours, May 24th. 9 Fairey Swordfish torpedo bombers launch from HMS Victorious. The Swordfish, biplane design, maximum speed 138 miles per hour. Crew of 3. Armament, 1 18-inch aerial torpedo per aircraft, 388-pound warhead. The strike group flies through deteriorating weather. Visibility drops. They navigate by dead reckoning towards Suffolk's last reported position. 23:30 hours. Bismarck sighted. The Swordfish attack through heavy anti-aircraft fire. Bismarck maneuvers violently. Speed increased to 30 knots despite bow damage. The ship turns hard, presenting minimum beam aspect. All AA guns fire. 52 guns total, from 4.1 inch to 20 millimeters. 1 torpedo hits Bismarck amidships, starboard side. The warhead detonates against armor belt. No penetration. Structural shock observed. No flooding. 2 Swordfish sustain damage. All 9 return to Victorious. Bismarck continues southwest. Suffolk maintains radar contact. May 25th, 0306 hours. Admiral Lutyens transmits 30-minute radio message to Naval Group West headquarters. The transmission details damage, fuel status, and intention to proceed to Saint-Nazaire. British radio stations track the transmission source. Position confirmed.
Bismarck hasn't deviated from southwest heading, but the long transmission contains tactical information. Lutyens knows British intercept and direction-finding capabilities. Some German naval historians argue this was intentional, providing misleading course information.
The message states Bismarck is making for French coast, but it doesn't specify which port or intended route. 3:06 hours. Last radar contact. Suffolk loses Bismarck. Weather deteriorated. Rain squalls. Bismarck turns southeast during the transmission, changing course while Suffolk's radar was degraded by weather. Prince of Wales, Norfolk, and Suffolk search along projected southwest course. Bismarck isn't there. Tovey faces a decision. Bismarck could be heading to Brest, France, northeast course, Saint-Nazaire, France, southeast course, Spain, due south course, or doubling back to Norway, northwest course. At 30 knots, Bismarck creates a search area expanding by 720 square nautical miles per hour. Tovey orders ships to search probable courses. King George V steams southeast, assuming France as destination. For 31 hours, the Royal Navy doesn't know where Bismarck is. May 26th, 10:30 hours. Consolidated PBY Catalina flying boat, serial number Z/209, departs Lough Erne, Northern Ireland. Pilot, Flying Officer Dennis Briggs, Royal Air Force. Co-pilot, Ensign Leonard Tuck Smith, United States Navy. The presence of an American naval officer aboard a British reconnaissance aircraft in May 1941 remains officially unexplained. The United States won't enter the war until December. Smith's participation violates U.S. neutrality. His presence was classified until 1977. The Catalina flies a standard search pattern over the North Atlantic. Fuel endurance, 15 hours. Search area, 600-mile radius from base. Weather, deteriorating. Cloud base, 500 feet. Visibility, 2 to 3 miles in rain squalls. 10:30 hours. Catalina maintains 1,500 feet altitude, just below the cloud layer. Briggs flies the planned search pattern. Smith navigates, calculating fuel consumption versus distance from base. The mathematics don't favor extended search. They'll need to turn back within 2 hours to maintain fuel reserve. 10:30 hours and 30 minutes. Smith spots wake on water surface 8 miles ahead. Briggs descends to 500 feet. Airspeed 110 miles per hour. The wake belongs to a battleship. German ensign visible. Bismarck. Position 49 degrees 33 minutes north, 21 degrees 47 minutes west, approximately 690 nautical miles west of Brest, France. Heading 130 degrees southeast toward France. Speed estimated 20 knots. The Catalina transmits contact report at 10:30 hours. Message received by Coastal Command and relayed to Admiral Tovey. Bismarck's anti-aircraft batteries open fire. 4.1-inch shells burst around the Catalina. Briggs climbs into cloud cover. The aircraft sustained no hits. Ensign Smith's role aboard the Catalina, officially an observer learning British procedures. Unofficially, American participation in combat operations 7 months before Pearl Harbor. The full details of how Smith came to fly this mission remain classified in U.S. Navy archives. Tovey receives the position report aboard King George V. Current position, 360 nautical miles north of Bismarck. Fuel status aboard King George V, sufficient for 4 hours at maximum speed. Then must turn back or proceed to refueling. Course calculation. King George V can't intercept before Bismarck reaches French coast and Luftwaffe air cover. Force H. Ark Royal, Renown, and Sheffield is closer, 150 nautical miles northwest of Bismarck. Tovey orders Force H to attack. Ark Royal's Swordfish torpedo bombers, the only asset that can slow Bismarck before it reaches safety. 1450 hours. Ark Royal launches 15 Swordfish. Torpedoes armed. The pilots navigate toward last known Bismarck position. Weather worsens. Cloud base drops to 300 feet. Rain reduces visibility to less than 1 mile. 1550 hours. Swordfish sight warship through the weather. They attack. The target is HMS Sheffield, detached from Force H to shadow Bismarck. Ark Royal's briefing didn't include Sheffield's position. Recognition error in weather and tension. 11 torpedoes dropped. Sheffield maneuvers radically. None hit. 4 torpedoes explode on water impact.
Magnetic detonators malfunction. The remaining 7 run under Sheffield without detonating. The Swordfish return to Ark Royal. Complete failure. Torpedoes unreliable. Strike crew demoralized. Force H has 1 chance remaining. May 26th, 18:15 hours. Ark Royal prepares second strike. 15 Swordfish. Torpedoes rearmed with contact detonators. Magnetic pistols removed after the Sheffield incident. Weather worsening. Wind 30 knots. Sea state rough. Ark Royal pitching in heavy seas. Lieutenant Commander Eugene Esmond leads the strike group. Combat veteran. Experienced torpedo pilot. 18:55 hours. Launch complete. The Swordfish fly at 500 feet below cloud layer. Rain and spray reduce visibility. Bismarck, 20 miles ahead, confirmed by Sheffield shadowing. Esmond briefs attack plan. Coordinated assault from multiple directions. Divide Bismarck's anti-aircraft fire. Maximum confusion. 20:47 hours. Bismarck sighted. The German battleship maneuvers immediately. Speed 27 knots despite earlier damage. All AA guns manned. The Swordfish attack in 3 subflights, approaching from port, starboard, and stern quarters.
Bismarck's anti-aircraft barrage. 52 guns firing. The volume of fire exceeds anything the Swordfish pilots previously encountered. Shells burst throughout the formation. Machine gun tracers crisscross the sky. The Swordfish slow to 90 miles per hour for torpedo release. Altitude 50 to 90 feet above water. The biplanes can't evade. Too slow, too low, committed to attack run. Bismarck turns hard to port, presenting stern aspect to starboard attackers. Minimum target area. Torpedoes drop. The 18-inch weapons enter water, stabilize, run toward target at 40 knots. Captain Lindemann orders hard starboard rudder. Bismarck pivots, attempting to parallel torpedo tracks, combing the wakes. Most torpedoes miss. Bismarck's maneuvers effective. 2 hit amidships, port side. Armor belt defeats both. Detonations observed. No critical damage. 20:55 hours and 47 seconds. 1 torpedo hits Bismarck's stern, port side. The explosion jams port rudder 12 degrees to port. Locked. Steering gear damaged. Hydraulic systems ruptured. Bismarck's stern swings to starboard. The ship begins turning in circles. Lindemann orders emergency steering procedures. Attempt to steer with propellers. Differential shaft speeds can control heading. It doesn't work. The jammed rudder overcomes propeller steering. Damage control teams attempt repairs. They enter the steering gear compartment. Flooded. Equipment destroyed. Hydraulic pressure gone. The rudder can't be moved manually. Cables severed. Alternative considered. Send divers over the side to cut the rudder free or adjust it to neutral. Sea state, too rough. Wind 30 knots. Waves 15 feet. Impossible in these conditions. Bismarck can't steer. The ship circles slowly, making 5 to 6 knots, heading north, directly toward the converging British fleet. 1 torpedo, 1 hit. 388-pound warhead. Bismarck crippled. Lutyens transmits message to Naval Group West. Ship unable to maneuver. We will fight to the last shell. Long live the Führer. The transmission confirms British suspicions. Bismarck crippled. Tovey aboard King George V receives the news. Range 120 nautical miles. Estimated contact dawn, May 27th. Additional British forces converge. HMS Rodney, detached from convoy escort duty, approaching from west. Polish destroyer ORP Piorin, already harassing Bismarck in darkness. British destroyers HMS Cossack, Maori, Zulu, Sikh, forming attack positions. Throughout the night, British destroyers conduct torpedo attacks. Weather worsening. Visibility poor. Sea state heavy.
The destroyers fire 16 torpedoes total, no confirmed hits. Bismarck's anti-aircraft and secondary batteries fire continuously, illuminating the darkness with muzzle flashes and searchlight beams. The German crew remains at battle stations. No sleep, no relief. They know dawn brings the British battleships. Bismarck drifts northwest at 5 to 8 knots. Rudder still jammed. Below decks, crew members write final letters. Some gather in groups. Others check ammunition stores, full magazines,
plenty to fight. Engineering spaces, machinery running normally except steering. Damage control parties, unable to access stern mechanisms in heavy seas. Lindemann addresses the crew at 0100 hours, May 27th. The speech isn't recorded. Survivors recall matter-of-fact assessment. Emphasis on fighting capability remaining. At 0600 hours, HMS King George V and HMS Rodney appear on the horizon. May 27th, 0843 hours. Range 25,000 yards, 12.5 nautical miles. HMS Rodney opens fire. 9 16-inch guns. HMS King George V follows at 0847 hours. 10 14-inch guns. Bismarck returns fire at 0849 hours, 8 15-inch guns. The German battleship can't maneuver, locked in place by the jammed rudder. Propellers maintain minimal headway, bow into wind and sea. Bismarck's first salvo lands 1,000 yards over Rodney. Second salvo straddles. Shells land short and over, indicating correct range. Third salvo, direct hit forward on Rodney. Doesn't penetrate or doesn't explode. Results contested in records. British shells land continuously. King George V firing rapidly. 14-inch shells every 40 seconds per turret. Rodney firing more deliberately. 16-inch shells every 50 seconds. 0902 hours. British shell penetrates Bismarck's forward main turrets. Anton and Bruno turrets disabled. 4 15-inch guns out of action. 0909 hours. Caesar turret. Aft main battery disabled. 6 of 8 main guns now silent. 0916 hours. Dora turret. Last operational main battery turret fires final salvo. Then disabled by British shell. Bismarck's main armament neutralized. Total engagement time of main batteries 27 minutes. Secondary batteries continue firing. The 5.9-inch guns engage at maximum rate. British ships close range. HMS Norfolk and HMS Dorsetshire, heavy cruisers, join the engagement, firing from 20,000 yards. 0931 hours. British ships close to 12,000 yards. Point-blank range for capital ships.
Superstructure ablaze. Forward section heavily damaged, but engineering spaces intact. Speed 7 knots. Rudder still jammed. The armor belt holds. British 14-inch and 16-inch shells penetrate upper works, but don't breach main belt or citadel. Bismarck remains afloat. Tovey observes from King George V. Ammunition expenditure high. Fuel status critical. Must divert to refueling soon or risk running dry. 940 hours. King George V and Rodney cease fire. Range opening. Bismarck no longer combat effective, but still afloat. Fires burning throughout superstructure. Secondary batteries silent. Most disabled. Remainder out of ammunition. The battleship lists 20 degrees to port, settling slowly by the bow, but the hull remains intact. Dorsetshire closes to 3,000 yards. Fires 3 21-inch torpedoes. 2 hit. Port side. Bismarck lists further, 35 degrees. The heavy cruiser circles to starboard side. Fires 1 torpedo. Hit confirmed. 10:36 hours. Bismarck capsizes to port. The ship rolls slowly, bottom up, and sinks. Position 48 degrees 10 minutes north, 16 degrees 12 minutes west. Approximately 400 nautical miles west of Brest. Water depth 15,700 feet. Dorsetshire and HMS Maori conduct rescue operations. 110 men pulled from the water. 11:40 hours. U-boat alarm. Dorsetshire's lookouts report periscope. The ships cease rescue operations and withdraw at high speed. German survivors remaining in water, approximately 800 to 900 men. Weather worsens. No further rescue attempts possible. U-74 and U-556, German submarines in area, too far distant to conduct rescue. Weatherwolf, German weather ship, attempts rescue May 28th, recovers 3 additional survivors. Spanish cruiser Canarias recovers 3 survivors May 29th. Final tally, 116 survivors from a crew of 2,065. 1,949 personnel were lost. Captain Lindeman and Admiral Lutyens were among them. The British Admiralty released statement May 27th. HMS Rodney and King George V sank Bismarck in surface engagement. Churchill addresses Parliament. The Bismarck is sunk. The narrative: British battleships destroyed German battleship in gun duel. What the Admiralty doesn't mention. Issue number 1. Who sank Bismarck? Post-action reports indicate hundreds of shells hit Bismarck's superstructure, but the main armor belt held. British shells didn't penetrate the citadel, the protected core containing machinery and magazines. Dorsetshire's torpedo hits didn't sink Bismarck immediately. The ship rolled over 15 minutes after final torpedo.
German survivors report scuttling charges detonated. Damage control teams opened seacocks before abandoning ship. This was standard procedure. Deny enemy the propaganda victory of capturing the ship. British Admiralty disputes this. Official position: torpedoes sank Bismarck. The debate continues among naval historians. 1989, Robert Ballard locates Bismarck wreck. Expedition photographs hull. Analysis: underwater photographs show hull relatively intact. Bottom damage consistent with impact, not internal explosion, but crucial evidence: internal structure access, unavailable without penetration. 2001, James Cameron expedition conducts detailed survey. Findings: inconclusive. Both scuttling and torpedoes could produce observed damage. Documents leave the question unresolved. Issue number 2. Why classify the details? The operation consumed enormous resources: 7 capital ships, battleships and battle cruisers, 2 aircraft carriers, 4 cruisers, multiple destroyer flotillas, long-range patrol aircraft, 1,750 miles of pursuit, 72 hours continuous operations, HMS Hood, and 1,415 personnel lost to neutralize 1 battleship. The efficiency or inefficiency concerned the Admiralty. The pursuit exposed Britain's resource constraints. Multiple capital ships required to counter 1 German battleship. Germany built Bismarck and sister ship Tirpitz. If both operated simultaneously, plus Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, Royal Navy resources couldn't cover them. This strategic vulnerability stayed classified until 1972. Issue number 3. The Catalina crew. Flying Officer Briggs received Distinguished Flying Cross for locating Bismarck. Ensign Leonard Smith's participation remained classified until 1977, 36 years. His presence aboard violated U.S. neutrality. American military personnel conducting combat reconnaissance operations 6 months before Pearl Harbor. The full scope of American-British cooperation in 1941, before official U.S. entry, involved multiple programs: U.S. Navy pilots training with RAF Coastal Command, intelligence sharing on German naval movements, convoy escort operations in Western Atlantic, equipment transfers, all classified during the war. Details released incrementally through 1970s to 1990s. Issue number 4. The rudder hit. 1 torpedo, 1 hit out of 15 dropped. 388-pound warhead versus 50,000-ton battleship. Military analysts still study this engagement. Questions include: was the rudder hit luck or skilled aim? Could Bismarck have survived with functional steering? Did design flaws make steering vulnerable? Post-war analysis of German battleship design revealed steering gear placement on Bismarck and Tirpitz potentially vulnerable to torpedo hits. Designers prioritized propulsion and firepower. Steering redundancy limited. Alternative design: steering gear deeper in hull, protected by armor, would reduce speed or increase displacement. Engineering trade-offs. Some analysts argue the torpedo hit was statistically improbable but tactically inevitable. Continuous attacks over 72 hours ensured eventual critical hit. Others maintain specifically targeting rudder area
Lieutenant Commander Esmond's attack plan may have directed pilots to stern shots. Esmond was lost in 1942 Channel Dash operation. His specific briefing to pilots that evening not recorded. The tactical details remain debated. Recognition. Lieutenant Commander Esmond Distinguished Service Order for the May 26th attack, posthumously awarded Victoria Cross in 1942 for separate action. Flying Officer Briggs Distinguished Flying Cross. HMS Ark Royal, sunk by U-81 6 months later, November 1941, Mediterranean. HMS Hood, Memorial at Portsmouth, Annual Remembrance Service. Bismarck survivors, majority spent war in POW camps, released 1945 to 1948. German perspective, Bismarck represented symbolic pride. Its loss, a psychological blow. Tirpitz never attempted Atlantic breakout, remained in Norwegian fjords, immobilized by threat of Royal Navy response. Strategic outcome, Germany never again challenged British naval supremacy with surface units. Submarine warfare continued, but capital ship operations ended. 73 years separated Hood's sinking from Bismarck wreck discovery. 3 survivors from Hood, 116 from Bismarck. Most have since passed. The engagement consumed 3,364 lives across all vessels. The pursuit covered 1,750 nautical miles. From Hood's explosion to Bismarck's sinking, 74 hours and 36 minutes. British classified details until 1972. German archives, captured in 1945, released incrementally through reunification and beyond. Soviet involvement in intelligence tracking, revealed in 1990s after USSR collapse. The complete picture emerged across 7 decades. One question remains unresolved. Did British guns sink Bismarck, or did German crews scuttle first? Survivors insist scuttling charges. British veterans insist torpedoes. The ship lies 15,700 feet down, critical internal structure inaccessible. Captain Lindemann told his crew before the final battle, "I will not survive this action." He didn't. Neither did 1,948 others aboard Bismarck. Neither did 1,418 aboard Hood. The truth about who sank Bismarck, both sides claim victory. Documentary evidence supports both. The ocean keeps the final answer. Was it 3 days of precision naval operations, or 72 hours of desperate pursuit ended by one lucky torpedo? History records the outcome. The method stays contested. If you found this declassified account valuable, consider subscribing. These stories, buried in archives for decades, deserve preservation. Algorithm promotion helps surface military history to those who seek documented facts over Hollywood mythology. Another classified pursuit emerges next, when one submarine stayed submerged for 90 days and the opposition never knew why.